everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today we are doing the bookshelf tour. So you all absolutely loved my last bookshelf tour, and now that I'm in my new place, I've actually got 2 extra bookshelves. I mean, I suppose technically 4 if you count the smaller ones as separates, but I've got a lot more bookshelves now. I actually have space on my bookshelves for the first time, like, ever. And yeah, they're all set up, they're a little bit different this time, and we're going to do another bookshelf tour because I know you all want it. So let's just get into it, shall we? So, starting at the top of shelf number 1, you can see I have some of my Harry Potter collection, which is quite extensive. So, I'll show you each book, but let's start with the trinkets first. I have Funko Pops of Neville, Luna, Snape, and Dobby. I have replicas of all of the Gringotts coins from Universal Studios. A collectible Slytherin pen, also from Universal Studios. I am a Slytherin, if you did not know. A chocolate frog box, also from Universal Studio. The actual chocolate frog is long gone. I have this set of Lego Harry Potter books. They're all kind of based around each house and also based around a certain subject. And I built them all and I also glued them together so that they will forever stay like this. And hiding behind that, I also have this little figurine of Dobby with his sock, as well as this Crimes of Grindelwald cup that I got when I went to see it in cinemas. And now on to the books. The first book on this shelf is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the illustrated edition. I have all 4 house colours of the 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix in paperback. I have all 4 house editions of the 20th anniversary editions of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in paperback. I have all 4 house editions of the 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban in paperback. And finally, on this shelf, I have the Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw version of the 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets in paperback. And now moving down to shelf number 2. This is kind of a fantasy shelf, mostly, but mostly it has a lot of my hardback fantasy books. But first, the decorations. So I have this jar which has this beautiful butterfly illustration on. I believe I got this from the range years ago, and it mostly sits on the shelf just because I think it's pretty. I have this black and brown globe, this piece of rose quartz, and also this magnifying glass which came from HomeSense. On this shelf I have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim, Nevernight by Jay Kristoff, The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, Circe by Madeline Miller, Only a Monster Can Kill a Hero by Vanessa Len, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, The Binding by Bridget Collins, The Twister's Key by Tony Almiel, Heart of Thorns by Brie Barton, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, The Secret History by Donna Tartt, Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, Lore by Alexandra Bracken, Ink and Bone, Paper and Fire, Ash and Quill, and Smoke and Iron, all by Rachel Kane, Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart, Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian, The Wren Hunt by Mary Watson, To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo, The Court of Miracles by Kester Grant, and In the Shadow of Heroes by Nicholas Bowling. Moving down again, this shelf is mostly dystopian books as well as a few fantasy books. To start, we have The Call by Pada O'Gillin, Champion by Marie Lu, The Young World by Chris Weitz, Nerve by Jean Ryan, The Eye of Minds, The Rule of Thoughts, and The Game of Lives, all by James Dashner, The Maze Runner, The Scorched Trials, The Death Cure, and The Kill Order, also all by James Dashner, and The Fever Code by James Dashner. Then we have Warcross by Marie Lu, Scythe and Thunderhead by Neil Schusterman, The Beast Player by Nahoko Ueshi, The Bone Queen by Alison Crogon, Reckless by Cornelia Funk, Winter Song and Shadow Song by S.J. Jones, The Sacrifice Box by Martin Stewart, Frostblood and Fireblood by Ellie Blake, Flame in the Mist by Renee Ardier, and The Book of Lost Things by John Connolly. I also have this little globe plant as well as this jar that I filled with glitter on this shelf, and this box which I use to store all of my gems and shiny things in. Moving down again, we have my first contemporary shelf. The first thing I have is this fake plant, which I believe was from IKEA many, many years ago. And then for the books, we have Again But Better by Christine Rico, Dear Evan Hansen, the novel by Val Emick with Stephen Levinson, Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, Beautiful Broken Things and Fierce Fragile Hearts by Sarah Barnard, Girlhood by Kat Clark, All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed, Moxie by Amy Poehler, Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman, The Fandom by Anna Day, The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon, Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon, Paper Towns, The Fault in Our Stars, Turtles All the Way Down, An Abundance of Catherines, Let It Snow, Will Grayson, and Looking for Alaska, all by John Green. I also have these 2 extra copies of Paper Towns by John Green. Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds, Rose Interrupted by Patrice Lawrence, What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, and Stay Another Day by Juno Dawson. And then, as you can see, the bottom 2 shelves do not have books on them. They have jigsaw puzzles and other photo props, because for the first time in my life, like literally ever, I actually have space on my bookshelves, which is nice, although I'm sure it won't last. But it is good that I have space, since I'm going to be here for at least 3.5 years, and you can rest assured my book collection will grow in that time. So, at the top of the second shelf, you can see my Harry Potter collection continues. Starting with the trinkets, I have a Professor Dumbledore Funko Pop, as well as a Hedwig Funko Pop. I also have Harry, Ron and Hermione. I have this colour-changing glass which my friend got me for my birthday many, many years ago, and it's filled with other Harry Potter things. So I have this burnt Harry's name from the Goblet of Fire that I got when I went to Warner Brothers Studios one year. I have this camera necklace, which is mostly unrelated, but I keep it in here anyway. A Ravenclaw diadem necklace, which I got from the charity shop several years ago. And a little plastic replica of a snitch, which is for some reason missing a wing. Clearly that went missing in the move, but never mind. I then also have all of my Harry Potter replica wands on here. I have quite a few, so let's go through them. I have Sirius Black's wand, Fleur Delacour, Hermione Granger, Ginny Weasley, Draco Malfoy, Queenie Goldstein, and of course the Elder Wand, which has belonged to many people over the years. And now on to the books. This shelf starts with the Gryffindor and Slytherin versions of the 20th anniversary editions of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets in paperback. I have all 4 houses of the 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in paperback. The Crimes of Grindelwald, the original screenplay by J.K. Rowling. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the original screenplay by J.K. Rowling. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, which was horrendous, but I keep it just because I'm a collector. But yeah, don't read this. I have my big Harry Potter box set, books 1 through 7, which are very worn, and I have read at least 5 times each. On top of my box set, I have a Spanish edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, 2 different English covers of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, The Tales of Beedle the Bard by J.K. Rowling, as well as several different Harry Potter passports from Warner Brothers Studio, a couple of Chocolate Frog cards, and also my Hogwarts Express tickets. Continuing on, we have Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in French, the Hogwarts Library, which consists of Tales of Beedle the Bard, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and Quidditch Through the Ages, all by J.K. Rowling. And then we get back into the 20th anniversary edition. These are all of the house versions of the Philosopher's Stone in hardback, and the 20th anniversary editions in Slytherin and Gryffindor of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets in hardback. Moving down again, we have another fantasy shelf. I keep this beautiful flower in a bell jar in here, which is just from Primark for like £3. And a couple of tiaras. The top one I actually wore to prom. As for the books, I have City of Ghosts, Tunnel of Bones and Bridge of Souls, all by Victoria Schwab. I have The Girl at Midnight, The Shadow Hour and The Savage Dawn, all by Melissa Gray. Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. The School for Good and Evil. The School for Good and Evil, A World Without Princes. The School for Good and Evil, The Last Ever After. The School for Good and Evil, Quests for Glory. And The School for Good and Evil, A Crystal of Time, all by Soman Chainani. Ink Heart, Ink Spell and Ink Death by Cornelia Funk. The Throne of Glass series, which is incredibly heavy, so I'm not going to pick it up, but you can see here it consists of Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash, all by Sarah J. Maas. The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, and A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. Moving down again, we have another fantasy/dystopian shelf. I have a Hagrid Funko Pop as a decoration, as well as this little kind of tea light holder. Don't remember where I got this, but it's kind of cool and kind of fits the theme of the shelf, so that's why I put it here. I have Half Bad, Half Lost and Half Wild, all by Sally Green. The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green. Trial by Fire, Firewalker and Witch's Pyre by Josephine Angelini. Starcrossed, Dreamless and Goddess, also by Josephine Angelini. 3 Dark Crowns, 1 Dark Throne, Queens of Fenburn, and 2 Dark Reigns by Kendare Blake. The first 4 books in the Soul Screamer series, which are My Soul to Take, My Soul to Save, My Soul to Keep, and My Soul to Steal, all by Rachel Vincent. Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant by Veronica Roth. The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. And The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Below that, we have my second contemporary shelf. I have this kind of camera pot on it, which I actually keep my ukulele tuner in, of all things. But it kind of just fits on here because it kind of has a contemporary vibe. And yeah, I don't remember where I got this, but it's kind of strange but very fitting since I am a photographer. And I also have a very boring vanilla candle. For the books, we have And a Happy New Year by Holly Bourne. The Normal series, consisting of Am I Normal Yet?, How Hard Can Love Be?, and What's a Girl Gotta Do by Holly Bourne. The Manifesto on How to Be Interesting by Holly Bourne. We Are All Lemmings and Snowflakes by Holly Bourne. It Only Happens in the Movies by Holly Bourne. The Places I've Cried in Public by Holly Bourne. And The Yearbook, also by Holly Bourne. Book 1 of the Fangirl manga by Rainbow Rowell. Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. 2 different copies of Carry On by Rainbow Rowell because I really love this cover so much and I had to have it. Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. Almost Midnight by Rainbow Rowell. 7 Wonders by May Gaynor and Charlie Todd. This is my good friend's book. So yeah, I know I'm biased, but it honestly is really good. So I'm going to leave the link to it down below if you would like to buy it. Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Loveless by Alice Oseman. Lear on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. And Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I have both the book and the movie cover. These bottom 2 shelves are also pretty messy, just like the previous 2. I have just like spare paper and stuff on this shelf, as well as some used art journals. I've got some like pressed flowers over here as well. Folders down here which hold all of my old GCSE coursework, and an assortment of different notebooks, most of which are actually full. I also have this little bell statue which I got when I went to Disneyland Paris. Moving over and up to the 3rd shelf, we have, would you believe it, yet another Harry Potter shelf. Starting with the decorations, I have a Queenie Goldstein and Newt Scamander pop vinyl, a Percival Graves pop vinyl, a Seraphina Pickery pop vinyl, and a Thestral and an Occamy pop vinyl. I have this mini replica of the Mirror of Erised, which I believe I got from Primark, and you can see my camera setup mirrored in that there. And tucked back in the corner I have this Harry Potter tin mug, which has a whole load of Harry Potter related badges inside it. I then have the Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets in hardback. I have all 4 house versions of the 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban in hardback. All 4 house versions of the 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in hardback. And all 4 house versions of the 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix in hardback. Moving down from the 3rd and final Harry Potter shelf, you will see I have an entire Percy Jackson shelf, / Rick Riordan, because technically some of them aren't Percy Jackson, but you know what I mean. There are actually no trinkets on this shelf, so let's just get into the books. I have Percy Jackson and the Greek Heroes by Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson, The Demigod Files, Heroes of Olympus, The Demigod Diaries, The entire Heroes of Olympus series, including The Lost Hero, The Son of Neptune, The Mark of Athena, The House of Hades, and The Blood of Olympus. Demigods and Magicians. Magnus Chase, 9 from the 9 Worlds. Hotel Valhalla, Guide to the Norse Worlds. The entire Percy Jackson series, including Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse, Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth, and Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian. Percy Jackson and the Greek Gods. The Kane Chronicles Trilogy, which consists of the Red Pyramid, the Throne of Fire, and the Serpent's Shadow. The Trials of Apollo series, which consists of the Hidden Oracle, the Dark Prophecy, the Burning Maze, the Tyrant's Tomb, and the Tower of Nero. The Magnus Chase Trilogy, which consists of the Sword of Summer, the Hammer of Thor, and the Ship of the Dead. And finally, Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan, which is actually not in the same universe as the other books, as much as I understand. Moving on from Rick Riordan, we have another fantasy shelf with quite a few knickknacks on this one, so perhaps I should move a few of them up. I have this fake plant which I drew on in my teenage years that says "You will survive." A little bit depresso, but you know. This rose gold metal S, which I believe was from Primark originally. This beautiful masquerade mask, which I actually got in New York. This little light up moon in a little porcelain hand, which I got off Amazon for photo shoot purposes. For the books, we have Ink, Spark and Scar by Alice Broadway. The Fallen series by Lauren Kate, which consists of Fallen, Torment, Passion, Rapture, Fallen in Love and Unforgiven. The Modern Fairy Tales by Holly Black. The Cruel Prince and the Wicked King by Holly Black. The Black Veins by Ashia Monet, which I actually have 2 copies of because Amazon sent me 2 for some reason. And the Caraval Trilogy by Stephanie Garber, which consists of Caraval, Legendary and Finale. Below that we have my poetry shelf. This shelf houses a tissue box since my chair is usually right next to it, and also this little like shot glass kind of thing. It's too big to be a shot glass, but you know what I mean. That is filled with sticky notes and tabs to mark pages in books. For the books, we have the Women Are Some Kind of Magic trilogy by Amanda Lovelace, which consists of The Princess Saves Herself in this one, The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one, and The Mermaid's Voice Returns in this one. Also, The Mermaid's Voice Returned in this one is signed. I have the You Are Your Own Fairy Tale series by Amanda Lovelace, which consists of Break Your Glass Slippers, Shine Your Icy Crown, and Unlock Your Storybook Heart. I have Pillow Thoughts 1 through 4 by Courtney Pepinell. And I just wanted to show you some of the covers of these as well, because they are super beautiful. Great Goddesses, Life Lessons from Myths and Monsters by Nikita Gill. Fierce Fairy Tales and Other Stories to Stir Your Soul by Nikita Gill. Where Hope Comes From by Nikita Gill. The Girl and the Goddess by Nikita Gill. Wild Embers by Nikita Gill. Your Heart is the Sea by Nikita Gill. Your Soul is a River by Nikita Gill. Milk and Honey and the Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. Poems of New York by a whole host of different authors. I actually got this when I was in New York from New York Public Library. How to Be Autistic by Charlotte Amelia Poe. A Phoenix First Must Burn, edited by Patrice Caldwell and written by a variety of other authors. This is technically not poetry but a collection of short stories, however I feel like it kind of fits on this shelf. The Poetex by Elizabeth Acevedo. Grimoire by Robin Robertson. Four Voices, a selection of poems, which I believe was a self-published thing that my nanny and granddad handed down to me from some friends or something. Renewals, selected poems by John Idris Jones. One Day at a Time, a Thought for Each Day, presented by Betty and Ken Collins. The Dark Between Stars by Atticus. Love Her Wild by Atticus. And The Truth About Magic by Atticus. Down here we have an empty shelf, and then the very bottom shelf is filled with all of my Vogue magazines and other miscellaneous fashion magazines, as well as a box filled with art supplies. So for these corner shelves, we're going to treat all 3 as one unit, so we're going to go across all 3 top shelves, all 3 second shelves, and so on. I have one of these fake plants from IKEA, and these 2 little vintage bottles that I got in like a vintage shop years ago. Don't remember what it was called, but yeah, they're pretty cute and they kind of fit the aesthetic. I have the Waterstones exclusive edition of Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, the ordinary hardback of Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, and Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. I also have a handful of comics on this shelf. I don't really read comics, but sometimes I like to collect them, so I have one of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. If you did not know, I absolutely adore Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. It's my favourite show of all time. I have a couple of these The Storyteller comics because I really like the colour scheme and the art style, so that's why I bought them. And I also have a whole load of Wonder Woman comics. I have the collector's edition of Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, the collector's edition of both Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo, King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo, Cruel Crown by Victoria Aveyard, Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard, Broken Throne, a Red Queen collection by Victoria Aveyard, the Red Queen series, which consists of Red Queen, Glass Sword, King's Cage and Warstorm by Victoria Aveyard. Moving down and back over, I have my I Love Books sign on my second Cassandra Clare shelf. I have the Dark Artifices series, which consists of Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows and Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare, the 5th anniversary edition of Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, the Waterstones exclusive edition of Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare, Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Rees Brennan, Maureen Johnson and Robin Wasserman. On my second Leigh Bardugo shelf I have some interesting trinkets. I have a Wonder Woman pop vinyl and another couple of Wonder Woman memorabilia. That's because Leigh Bardugo did write like a kind of fan fiction of Wonder Woman, and I really loved it, so they kind of fit on this shelf even though they're not strictly Leigh Bardugo related. She did write a Wonder Woman book. I also have a pop vinyl of Negasonic Teenage Warhead from Deadpool. She doesn't really belong here, but she kind of fits with, she's not Leigh Bardugo related, but she kind of fits with Wonder Woman in the superhero universe, so that's why she's here. For the books, I have my box set of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, which consists of Shadow and Bone, Siege of Storms, and Ruin and Rising, all by Leigh Bardugo. I have Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo, which is exactly the Wonder Woman book I was talking about, Six of Crows, and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, The Lives of Saints by Leigh Bardugo, and Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. On my third Cassandra Clare shelf, I have this little mushroom Christmas tree decoration, which has nothing to do with anything, but I really like it and I don't have anywhere else to keep it. I then have The Red Squirrels of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu in both the Waterstones exclusive edition and the ordinary hardback. I have The Lost Book of Curses by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu in the Waterstones exclusive edition and the ordinary hardback. Goes to the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Rees Brennan, Maureen Johnson, Kelly Link and Robin Wasserman. The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Rees Brennan and Maureen Johnson. Two of those little stories inside the Bane Chronicles I have in these little mini book versions, The Midnight Air and The Course of True Love. Not really sure why they made only two of them and never any more, but yeah, I have these. And the Shadowhunters Codex by Cassandra Clare and Joshua Lewis. Moving down, we have 3 more Cassandra Clare shelves. I'm not quite sure how Cassandra Clare does it, but she seems to release a minimum of 3 books every single year, and at this point I'm going to have an entire shelf dedicated to her, but regardless, let me show you the other books of hers I have. I have the Clockwork Angel trilogy, consisting of Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is pretty much my favourite trilogy of all time, FYI. I have the 10th anniversary edition of Clockwork Angel, and I just have to show you inside because there is some absolutely beautiful artwork of the characters, which I absolutely adore, and also this book is signed. Fave there. And yeah, it's got a little signature down there. I have the Mortal Instruments graphic novels 1 through 4. These are incredibly difficult to find. They're often sold in some fairly dodgy places, and I'm not sure why. But yes, I have 1 through 4. If anyone knows if there's a 5 or a 6, please let me know, because I would like to complete the collection. I have Shadowhunters and Downworlders, which was edited by Cassandra Clare, and I believe written by a fan of the series. And I then have these little exclusive sneak peeks that I got for free at Waterstones of Queen and Air and Darkness and the Red Scrolls of Magic. The middle shelf features these gorgeous cards, which I just have to show you some of, because look how gorgeous they are. They are essentially a version of tarot cards, but they have been renamed to be Shadowhunter related, and to say I adore them is an understatement. I don't remember what the website was called that I got them from, but they were all the rage back in Bookstagram's heyday, so I will see if I can find them, because honestly, if you're a fan of the Shadowhunter series and don't have these, you need them. I have a little plastic stelly because I'm just that sort of person. It also lights up. I believe I technically got this for a Halloween costume one year. I have this angel wing tea light holder, which I keep this piece of rose quartz in because let's not light candles near books, but I mean, it kind of has to go on the Shadowhunters shelf, right? Because it fits perfectly. And I also have this little Shadowhunters rubber band. No idea where I got this from, but yeah, can you tell I'm a little bit obsessed? For the books, I have An Illustrated History of Notable Shadowhunters and Denizens of Downworld by Cassandra Clare, illustrated by Cassandra Jean. This is a gorgeous book. And I have the entire Shadowhunters series, which is too heavy to hold up all together, but it consists of City and Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire, all by Cassandra Clare. I have another of these IKEA plants. I have the 10th anniversary edition of City of Bones, which also has some gorgeous illustrations of the characters in it that I just have to show you. And then I have books 1 through 5 of the Shadowhunters series in the old covers. I found all of these in charity shops on separate occasions. The only one I'm missing is 6. So if anyone knows of where I can get City of Heavenly Fire in this cover design in paperback, let me know, because I'd love to complete the collection. That's finally it for the Shadowhunter books, but we now get into some of my other favourites. So the shelf to the left houses this mug, which is actually a colour-changing, a heat-changing Harry Potter mug, which turns into the Mordor map, which has all of my bookmarks in it. I have this hourglass, and this beautiful little book lover plaque with my name on it that Charlie got me for, I don't remember if it was my birthday or Christmas one year, because like I've said before, they're only 10 days apart, so I get confused, but yes, he had this specially made for me on Etsy, and I absolutely adore it. The first book on this shelf is the Iliad by Homer. This doesn't really fit with the rest of the shelf, which you can see is clearly A Good Girl's Guide to Murder related, but I don't know, these books are really pretty and I wanted them in pride of place, and they also don't necessarily fit anywhere else, so I thought they kind of fitted here. And I also have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I then have the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson, which includes A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Good Girl Bad Blood, and As Good as Dead, all by Holly Jackson, which I absolutely adore. If you did not know, if you have not read these, read them because they are amazing. I also have Killjoy by Holly Jackson, which is a prequel. The only trinket on the middle shelf is this card, which Charlie actually sent me, and the sentiment on it, "There's no such thing as too many books," is something that I very much take to heart. Otherwise, this shelf is a bit of an amalgamation of things, but to start with, we have The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I actually got this when I was in France, and I got it stamped with the Shakespeare and Company logo. The complete first edition of the original folk and fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm, translated and edited by Jack Zipes. Angela Carter's Book of Fairy Tales. Dune by Frank Herbert. Unfinished Tales by J.R.R. Tolkien. The box set of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings series by J.R.R. Tolkien, which consists of The Hobbit, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. A signed edition of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And Tolkien the Illustrated Encyclopedia by David Day. The final shelf on this row is a Heartstopper shelf, which features this Heartstopper Happy Holidays card, which Charlie sent me for Christmas last year, which I absolutely adore. I have all 4 volumes of the Heartstopper comics, and the Heartstopper colouring book by Alice Oseman. These bottom 2 shelves are what I lovingly refer to as the reject shelf. They are filled with duplicates of other books that I already have copies of that I don't want to display, old YouTuber books down at the bottom, a few childhood books that I want to keep but again don't really fit anywhere else, and then a few books that I just didn't like, basically, but again I don't want to get rid of them because I'm a collector, so let's go through them. I have Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant by Veronica Roth. These are different covers from the ones you saw earlier. I have the Hunger Games Trilogy again by Suzanne Collins, which are again just different covers. Hetty Feather and Emerald Star by Jacqueline Wilson. The Girl of Ink and Stars by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. The Midnight Unicorn by Alice Hemming. I Tell You I Love You But Then I'd Have to Kill You and Only the Good Spy Young by Ali Carter. A Place Called Perfect and the Trouble with Perfect by Helena Duggan, the Allegra Biscotti Collection and Who, What, Where by Olivia Bennett, Shadow Jumper by J.M. Forster, Seventh Son by Joseph Delaney, The Spooks Apprentice by Joseph Delaney, another copy of The Spooks Apprentice by Joseph Delaney, The Case of the Missing Moonstone by Jordan Stratford, The Book of Tomorrow by Cecilia Ahern, Rebel of the Sands and Traitor to the Throne by Alwyn Hamilton, The Hazel Wood by Melissa Albert, Frozen, Golden and Stolen by Melissa De La Cruz and Michael Johnston, Angel, Angel Fever and Angel Fire by L.A. Weatherly, Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, which I absolutely despised, If I Stay by Gail Foreman. I have 2 different copies of Dan and Phil's interactive introvert show, which I did go to in person when it first aired, and I have 2 because they both came with unique postcards and I wanted all the postcards. The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire by Dan and Phil, Dan and Phil Go Outside by Dan and Phil, 147 Things by Jim Chapman, Love Tanya by Tanya Burr, maybe shouldn't keep these 2 books together anymore, eh? Misfit by Charlie Howard, Raven Queen by Pauline Francis, Girl Online on Tour and Girl Online Going Solo by Zoe Sugg, Undercover Princess by Connie Glynn, The Family Collection by Enid Blyton, Star Wars Most Wanted by Ray Carson, Vampire Diaries Book 1 and 2 by L.J. Smith, Sabriel by Gareth Nix, The Boy Who Drew the Future by Rhian Ivory. The only reason I bought this was because she actually came into our school and did a signing, so you can see it's personalised and signed, even though I had no interest in reading it. Dreams by Daniela Sacerdoti, a rather beaten up version of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, 2 of the same cover of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Don't know why I have 2 of these, but I do. And another copy of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And now moving on to the final bookshelf. I have this elephant statue on the top shelf, and then we get into the non-fiction / classical books. The mythology book by a whole host of different people. Feminism is by Alexandra Black, Laura Buller, Emily Hoyle and Dr. Megan Todd. Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman. The Norse Myths, A Guide to the Gods and Heroes by Caroline Larrington. A Treasury of British Folklore by D.D. Cheney. A paperback copy of Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman. This Book Will Help You Change the World by Sue Turton. The Periodic Table of Feminism by Marissa Bate. Queer There and Everywhere, 23 People Who Changed the World by Sarah Prager. Feminist Fight Club, A Survival Manual for a Sexist Workplace by Jessica Bennett. The Professor by Charlotte Bronte. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Watership Down by Richard Adams. Mastery, The Keys to Success and Long-Term Fulfillment by George Leonard. Persuasion by Jane Austen. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. The Adventure of the Secret Necklace by Enid Blyton. Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, A Tale of Two Cities, A Christmas Carol, and David Copperfield, all by Charles Dickens. Volume 2 of The Epic of Hades by Lewis Morris. Another copy of The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. Odyssey by Homer, which I got in the New York Public Library and therefore has the New York Public Library stamp. Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott. The Complete Works of William Shakespeare by William Shakespeare. I, Claudius by Robert Graves. Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope. A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. And the Folio Society's version of The Arabian Nights. Moving down, we have another non-fiction shelf, which features yet another fake plant, and this bookish box of matches that my grandparents bought me. I then have Handbook of Ancient Greek and Roman Coins by Xander H. Klawans, Paper by Mark Kalansky, New Words for Old by Caroline Taggart, Looking After Your Mental Health by Usborne, Happy by Fern Cotton, Managing Your Money by Usborne, a super old Collins English Dictionary, The Fairy Bible by Theresa Morey, We Should All Be Feminists, and Dear Ijawella, A Feminist Manifesto and 15 Suggestions, both by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Freedom by Margaret Atwood, Has Democracy Failed Women by Drew Delarue, Women and Power, a Manifesto by Mary Beard, Wabi Sabi by Beth Kempton. This is actually a book I did for an art project at GCSE, so you can see I cut it to pieces. You Do You, Get Your Shit Together, The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving a Fuck, Fuck No, and Calm the Fuck Down, all by Sarah Knight. The Book Thief by Mark Zuzak. SPQR, A History of Ancient Rome by Mary Beard. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. How to Draw Anything by Mark Linley. The Death of Robin Hood by Angus Donald. The Secret Library by Oliver Turle. A Highway Code Book. Alexander Hamilton Revolutionary by Martha Brockenborough. An Edited Life by Anna Newton. The Asperkid's Secret Book of Social Rules by Jennifer Cook O'Toole. Asperger's Rules, How to Make Sense of School and Friends by Blythe Grossberg. A Guide to Raising a Puppy. And Business and Politics for Beginners by Usborne. Moving down for the penultimate time, this shelf has a whole load of magazines as well as a whole load of art and photography non-fiction books. To start with, we have this little wooden model of some sort of academic thing that I built. Don't remember what it's called, but I'm sure someone can leave it in the comments below. This massive book of masterpieces of British art. Wonderful Things by Tim Walker. The Complete Language of Flowers by Teresa Dietz. The Oxford Book of Trees by B.E. Nicholson and A.R. Clapham. C/Saw Looking at Photographs by Geoff Dyer. Botany for Gardeners by the RHS. Portrait Photography by Eric Valland. The Cambridge Introduction to Creative Writing by David Morley. Understanding a Photograph and Ways of Seeing by John Berger. The 2021 edition of the Night Sky Almanac by Storm Dunlop and Will Tyrion. Flowerpedia by Sherilyn Darcy. The Language of Flowers by Mandy Kirkby. The Language of Flowers by Nikolai Tanais. Read This If You Want to Be a Great Writer by Ross Raisin. Women in the Picture by Catherine McCormack. The Secret Lives of Colour by Cassia St. Clair. Book of the Moon by Dr. Maggie Adarin Pocock. The Signs by Carolyn Faulkner. Floriography by Jessica Rue. And The Polaroid Book. These final three shelves are just filled with notebooks, sketchbooks, folders from GCSE years, and just other clutter that doesn't fit anywhere else. And with that, that is all of the books on my shelves. And that was the bookshelf tour. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know you all loved the last bookshelf tour, so I'm expecting a similar response to this one. As you can see, my book collection is continuing to grow and will continue to do so because I have no self-control and I cannot stop myself from buying books. It's also getting to that time of year where pretty much everyone's releasing books, so I'm sure these shelves are just about to get a little bit more full as well. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the bookshelf tour. Let me know what you think of my bookshelves. I know they're laid out slightly weirdly, but it makes sense to me. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any other video recommendations. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.